What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, got some interesting news to bring to y'all. As source has told me that Showtime president of sports, Stephen Espinoza, would love to showcase a massive showdown, if everything goes according to plan, between newly rising, upcoming superstar welterweight title contender Jarron Boots Ennis, who is 28 wins, no losses, no draws, 26 big wins by way of knockout. He is 24 years of age, 5'10" with a 74-inch arm reach. Now, he will be facing off against CUSTIO CLAYTON, undefeated Canadian star boxer, May 14th, as the co-main event to the massive undisputed rematch between Jamel Charlo and Brian Castano. Okay, so with that said, obviously Jarron Boots Ennis, he is the favorite to win that fight against CUSTIO CLAYTON. Okay, he's the co-main event. He signed a multi-fight deal with Showtime, Stephen Espinoza. Okay, so CUSTIO CLAYTON is 19 wins, no losses, no one draw, 12 wins by way of knockout, 34 years of age, 5'9" with a 69.5-inch arm reach. So Boots Ennis is an inch taller and has a 5-inch arm reach advantage over CUSTIO CLAYTON, and he's 10 years younger than CUSTIO CLAYTON. Okay, so he's highly expected to be victorious in this fight against CUSTIO CLAYTON. Again, Showtime has signed Jarron Boots Ennis to a multi-fight deal. We know that Stephen Espinoza, he's a big fan of the sport of boxing, and he feels like Jarron Boots Ennis is the next major thing, as I do and many other people feel like. Okay, Stephen Espinoza would love to stage a fight between Jarron Ennis. This CUSTIO CLAYTON fight is going to be IBF, International Boxing Federation, and President Mr. Peebles. It's going to be an elimination, so the winner of this fight can be the mandatory for Errol Spence Jr., undefeated, newly crowned 3-belt unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who's widely considered by many to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, with a record of 28 wins, no losses, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout. He is 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He's coming off of a dominating performance over former WBA welterweight world champion Cuban star boxer Yordenis Ugas, in which he got a 10th round stoppage victory. So everybody's expecting and wanting and clamoring to see Errol Spence face off against undefeated biggest rival, 3-division world champion, former junior welterweight undisputed world champion, who is currently the reigning WBO, World Boxing Organization, welterweight world champion, and widely considered by many to be the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford is 38 wins, no losses, no draw, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Okay, so everybody wants to see Terrence Crawford versus Errol Spence. That's the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Okay, but with that said, Jarron Boots Ennis beats CUSTIO CLAYTON. He'll be the mandatory. But what is he going to do in the meantime? There's reports and rumors and sources that say that we could see Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford possibly take place in September, October. Okay, and the sanction bodies, the IBF, Daryl Peoples is not going to stand in the way of that mega fight. So Jarron Ennis, May 14th, is fighting CUSTIO CLAYTON. He'll be the mandatory. But in the meantime, what's going to happen? Well, according to sources that tell me that Stephen Espinoza would love to have a fight between Jarron Ennis and former unified welterweight world champion superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman. Keith Thurman is 30 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'7.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, Keith Thurman is coming off of a 2-year layoff in which he faced off against Mario Barrios, former WBA junior welterweight world champion, regular world champion, Mexican star boxer Mario Barrios. That took place February 5th. Keith Thurman is moving up rapidly throughout the ranking systems because they want to put Keith Thurman back in the conversation for a title opportunity. Okay, and so with that said, this is huge. There was talks that Terrence Crawford could possibly sign a 2-fight deal with the PBC, Premier Boxing Champion founder and advisor Al Heyman, to be able to showcase his talents against Keith Thurman in July, and then possibly Errol Spence in the back end at the end of the year. But Terrence Crawford has denied that. He don't want to do it. He don't want to fight Keith Thurman. He wants to go straight into an Errol Spence fight. Don't want to waste any more time. Errol Spence is on record recently. He stated that he doesn't want to waste any more time. This is the fight that makes sense for both, and everybody knows what I want. So Errol Spence wants to fight with Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford wants to fight with Errol Spence. So all parties involved agreeing that, that's the fight that everybody wants, is those two to fight each other, and they want to fight each other. Keith Thurman is trying to put his name back in the mix. Okay, Keith Thurman has inactivity is what took away from Keith Thurman's shine, okay, and his momentum. Just simply inactivity. Keith Thurman, 2017, he unified the belts against 2-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia. He beat Danny Garcia. Then he went on a hiatus. From 2017 to 2019, he came back in January. So March of 2017, he fought Danny Garcia in the unification bout. He came back in January of 2019, 2 years later, against Josito Lopez, and he looked vulnerable. Then he fought in July of 2019. He fought against Manny Pacquiao. Okay, that's when he lost his WBA title. But in the meantime, he lost his he lost the WBC title due to inactivity. Okay, and so now he lost the WBA title to Manny Pacquiao. So with that said, right, Keith Thurman's inactivity, his owning that lose to Manny Pacquiao, comes back in 2021, another 2-year layoff. Okay, so he fought 2 times in 4 years, so he's just inactive. Keith Thurman is now in the ranking system. When you look in the ranking system, he has even jumped ahead of Jarron Boots Ennis in some of the ranking systems. Okay, which is unexplainable, because we understand that Keith Thurman is a big name, okay? But it's just simply not explainable, okay? There's no reason that Keith Thurman should be ahead of Jarron Ennis in any of these ranking systems, seeing as though Jarron Boots Ennis is active, okay, and earned his position. So in the WBO ranking system, Jarron Ennis is at number 2, Keith Thurman is at number 4. So he jumped up to 4, okay? And in the and then you look at the IBF ranking system. The first 2 spots are still vacant. They haven't updated it. But Jarron Ennis is at number 1. Okay, so this is what is looking like. Jarron Ennis is at 1. He's going to fight Custio Clayton, who's at 6. But Custio Clayton, everybody's going to move up a spot. So Jarron Ennis is really at 1. Virgil Ortiz is at 2. Conor Ben is at 3. Custio Clayton is at 4. Then you move on, so on and so forth, right? But it's expected that Keith Thurman is also going to jump up in that ranking system, right? Follow along, right? In the WBC, Keith Thurman jumps ahead of Jarron Ennis, who was at number 3. Now they move Jarron Ennis back to number 4. So Keith Thurman is 3, Ennis is number 4, okay? Then you look at the WBA ranking system. Suddenly, guess what? Keith Thurman has emerged in the WBA ranking system, right? Now Keith Thurman is at number 4 in the WBA ranking system, okay? Keith Thurman was not ranked in these systems. Now Keith Thurman is ranked number 4, and this is at number 3, okay? So they're looking to set up a possible showdown. They would love to have Keith Thurman versus Jarron Boots Ennis, according to my sources. Stephen Espinoza would love to make a fight between Jarron Boots Ennis and Keith Thurman, right? Now it's all going to boil down to Keith Thurman. When you look at the Ring magazine, right, it has Terrence Crawford at 1, Errol Spence at 2, Ugas was at 3. He was the 3 champions, and Jarron Ennis is at 4. Keith Thurman comes in at number 6 in that ranking system, okay? So he wasn't in there, okay? So now he's in there. And so Stephen Espinoza is looking at it as a massive opportunity. They both vying for a position to be fighting for a world title. But obviously, it looks like Errol Spence is going to fight Terrence Crawford. And then Errol Spence, the winner of that fight, is 9 times out of 10 going to move up to junior middleweight. Okay, they both had expressed that they don't have any more interest in fighting at welterweight. Okay, Errol Spence said he only have 2 fights at 147. Terrence Crawford has expressed that once he beats and knocks out Errol Spence, he's going up and he's going to fight the winner, Jamel Charlo, Brian Castano. Okay, so with that said, right, the winner and the loser is more than likely exiting that division. So they're not going to fight Terrence Crawford, that being Keith Thurman or Boots Ennis, not going to fight Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence for those titles, okay? They're both going to exit. It's the fight everybody wants to see. It's for undisputed, all the marbles, and they're both headed out, okay? So with that said, it leaves a void, right? Now, you can look at it from this standpoint. Stanionis and Butev just fought as the co-main event to the pay-per-view showdown between Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas. And I told you guys, I picked Stanionis to beat Butev, and that's exactly what happened. But Stanionis is the mandatory also, okay? So Stanionis is the mandatory for the WBA, okay? So Errol Spence has the WBA, so he's the mandatory. But again, the WBA is not going to stand in the way. So you can see Jarron Boots Ennis fighting Stanionis, okay? Or Keith Thurman fighting Stanionis, okay? And then, then we could see Errol Spence, then we could see Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford vacate the belts, and then Jarron Ennis fights Keith Thurman for a vacant belt, okay? Or 2 belts, possibly, okay? The Ring magazine be on the line. The undisputed, all sanctioned belts is going to be on the line. So you could possibly see that scenario. But according to reports, Stephen Espinoza would love, because it's not known how many fights Jarron Ennis has signed with Showtime, but he wants to get as many big fights as Jarron Ennis, and he wants to get him in the spotlight and the biggest stage immediately, okay? No more waiting. And so Keith Thurman represents that. I'm not opposed to seeing Jarron Ennis fight Stanionis. I like that matchup. But I would much rather see Keith Thurman and Jarron Boots Ennis. Keith Thurman initially stated he didn't know who Jarron Boots Ennis was. Then he came back and said he did his homework on Jarron Boots Ennis, and he stated that Jarron Boots Ennis is a mixture between himself, Floyd Mayweather, and Terrence Crawford, and a little bit of Sweet Pea Pernell Whitaker. Those are high praises, okay? This would be a great matchup. This would be either Keith Thurman makes a statement and says, I'm still here, you're counting me out, or it's a passing of the torch, and Jarron Boots Ennis, it gets put on that, he puts the boxing world on notice as well, to let you know I have arrived, right? And I think that it should happen. I personally was one to say that I would love to see Keith Thurman fight Jarron Boots Ennis as the co-main event to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. Now, I don't know if that's feasible financially for Showtime and all parties involved. I know it would be on Jarron Boots Ennis's part, because right now he's not demanding a massive purse, right? Keith Thurman may demand a massive purse because it's a passing of the torch situation for him. So he may look at it and say, listen, y'all want this me in there with this young bull, you're going to have to pay me like you weigh, okay? So that's a possibility. But this is a huge news, and hopefully it comes to fruition. So my sources are telling me Stephen Espinoza, Showtime president of sports, would love to make Jarron Boots Ennis versus Keith Thurman next. Should Jarron Boots Ennis, obviously, this is no slight to CUSTIO CLAYTON, but Jarron Boots Ennis is the favorite, and all goes well, this is the fight he wants to make. Or Jarron Boots Ennis versus Stanionis. Either which way, I'm all for it, but obviously the Keith Thurman fight is more appealing. So that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon, and get all the new notification. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all in one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.